We've got another good one shaping up out there. So we're gonna go get the camera, we're gonna get the tripod, we're gonna sit out on the rocks, and we are gonna talk settings and shooting a California sunset. Okay, one of the obvious problems of shooting sunset is that you're shooting directly into the sun, which can do sun flares and just kind of blow out your entire shot and not look very good. So some ways to combat that are your aperture, and moving your aperture to a much lower aperture like an f11, f14, or even lower than that, which will limit the amount of light getting into the camera. And then obviously you increase your shutter speed. When you're shooting straight into the sun like that, you could do 1/1000th or even faster, 1/2000th, 1/8000th. Just kind of depends on how your exposure is looking, and your camera settings will help you determine that. Another option is to move the sun just out of frame, either just out of frame on the top or on one of the sides. And we've done that here, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then monitoring light as the sun changes. Obviously, as it goes down, there's going to be less and less light. So as the light dims, then we need to open up our aperture a little bit and start moving back down. And by the end of the night, we may be all the way down to f4 or f3.5. Just kind of depends on how the light looks. So it's really beautiful. We got a lot of wispy clouds out there, so let's get some shots. I'll share settings with you, and let's have some fun. So here we're doing our bracketing again. You can see those three white dots at the 3, 2, 1 line, and then the 1, 2, 3 line on the side there. Those indicate that we're doing exposures one stop apart. So one at -1 exposure, one at regular exposure, and one at +1 exposure. Then we'll put those three together. And we are sitting here at f11 at 1/80th of a second. I should also say that it's so bright out right now that we don't really need the tripod. We're shooting at a fast enough shutter speed that it's really not necessary. I just have it out here for when it gets a little darker. And it is kind of nice to have it, you know, just for stability, but not totally necessary when it's super bright out. So I do have it handheld right now and just playing around, seeing what I can get. But tripod is only really necessary when you're shooting and it's darker, or you just need longer exposure speeds. Shooting handheld, you know, as long as you're faster than, there's a rule, I can't remember what the rule is, but generally for me, it's like if it's a 50th of a second or faster, or 100th of a second, I'm handheld. If it gets slower than that, then it starts to get blurry. Just that shaking of the hand is seen in the photos. So that's where tripods come in really handy. Okay, now it's getting darker, the sun's going down, the clouds are lighting up, but that means much less light into the camera. And so I brought it down all the way to f5.6. We're at a shutter speed of 1/500th, and we should get some really cool shots of this color as it develops. Check this out. So back inside, the sky did not light up like I hoped. Showed promise. It was still beautiful, but it didn't do that epic burn. But I want to show you a new technique. This is called an intentional camera movement. So it's where we put the aperture all the way down, like as far down as it'll go, like f32, 25, well, wherever it is, just bring it down as low as possible. And then increase the shutter speed to a half second or so, and then move the camera in a straight line. And then as you're moving the camera, push the shutter button. It does some really cool effects. Check this out. It's pretty rad.